Welcome back to the Dadnarok Aftershow. This is Shaun.
And this is Chris.
And good morning. It is Sunday morning. We are talking about the best in TV and streaming of the week. We're going to be discussing 2 episodes of Welcome to Wrexham, episode 3 and 4. We're also going to be discussing Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, episode 2, and the premiere 2 episodes of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power.
Dude, this has been a fantastic week.
Yeah.
I am loving everything that's on TV today. And unlike some of our other nerdoms, I am embracing all of it.
Yeah.
I'm not like trying to dog. I don't even want to try to compare
Right.
the two because they're two different, even though they both have dragons. All three of these shows that we're covering, it's just funny
Yeah.
enough to have dragons in it. But
just let all this great content just wash over me. And
because we've had so many years of just nothing.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have amazing content, amazingly shot content. Everything looks amazing. The stories, no matter what you think, are amazing, and everything we're covering here today.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and roll into. We're gonna go ahead and talk about Welcome to Wrexham here first.
My kids are 4 and 8, and these memories when I see my sons at the football, these are my memories that I'm going to take to the grave with me, and I need to be enjoying these times because I'll never get them back. And they're being taken away from me. It's more than football. It's more than just having a pint. It's your mental well-being as well, and I truly believe that.
Dude, I love this show.
Yeah.
And the more and more I watch this show, the more and more I realize it's less about the football club and more about the people. The people are the A plot. The football team and Ron Reynolds is essentially the B plot of the show.
Yeah, it's almost kind of the Ted Lasso model, because you and I think, assuming getting into Ted Lasso, there would be a lot more of the actual gameplay in
Yeah.
each episode, and really they saved that for maybe like the final episode of the season where you see the most of an actual game. But it's mostly about the characters, the people, even the people in the pub, right? The people that live,
dude,
the supporters.
I was telling my wife I would love to actually go to that pub, sit down, and have a pint during a game or after a game. Just that environment.
Mm-hmm.
That is something I'm jonesing for. I mean, right now I'm wearing even though my team really irritated me last night, like the crew, I'm wearing my supporter stuff, and it just being in that world, being in that environment, not being able to wait to get to another game here in a few weeks. I'm taking you to your first one, so you'll be able to experience that. But I love what Shaun was saying here in this clip, about bringing his kids to the game, how it's a family thing. It's the exact same thing here in the States, but it's not football. It's baseball. Like, I remember taking Zach to his first baseball game.
Right.
Like, I remember it's in Cincinnati. I think he actually got a ball. I don't think he realized how lucky he was, but he's been to many of those. But when I sit back and think about it, what I remember more vividly, though, because I remember that, but I remember vividly taking him to his first soccer game.
Yeah.
In Columbus, it was pouring. They were playing Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we got stomped because they were a much better team at the time. But it's just one of those things, because we went to another one here recently. So I can completely relate to what he's saying about seeing his kids jumping up and down in the stadium and enjoying that. And because of the pandemic, it was kind of taken away from everybody for a period of time.
Yeah, this guy in particular, he kind of fell in some hard times. He got a divorce apparently during the pandemic, and to even kind of exacerbate the hurt and pain this poor guy was going through. So it's funny. It's like, this is the first episode that introduces this guy, and just, Wrexham supporter. That's who he is, as far as his relation to, he lives in the town and he's a big supporter, and he goes to the pub, the turf, there outside the stadium. And you and I have discussed it. So as far as, who they focus on, another kind of big storyline. So it's tough because it's like, we're not breaking this out by episode. It's just kind of, they're delivering 2 episodes at a time.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it's just kind of like all encompassing, like those 2 episodes. But they go and get a new manager and a new star player, basically.
Yeah, they pick up Phil Parkinson, so who is apparently has brought teams and got them promoted in each league.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were able to get him, and I like when Ryan was talking about Rob. He's like, he's a dog with a bone. Once he gets you on the phone, he's going to get what he wants.
Right.
And when he hung up the phone, he's like, the producers asked him, how do you think you did? In my opinion, if you don't know how you did, you didn't do well.
Right.
If you hit that button to hang up the phone, and like in an interview, you nailed it.
Right.
You're just waiting for a response. There's nothing more you could have done in that conversation.
Yeah.
When he was not sure, I was like, oh, that didn't go well.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like, "Boy, I was kind of an asshole. Was I an asshole?" He like went back and forth during that long conversation that Rob had. He said it was an hour and a half with the
Yeah.
guy. But I don't know if they had more conversations afterwards. I'm assuming so, but it ended up working. It ended up being an okay conversation. They got.
I mean, it had to go from him then to probably to his actual agent. No, there's probably a lot of back and forth that it's not riveting television. So,
right. Well, what they did play up is that Rob and Ryan are putting money in this, not only in the talent that they're having to bring in, but even just the simple thing as the grass itself. They had to
laying a new pitch.
Yeah. Which ended up being what, like over 300,000 or something, like close to 4.
Oh yeah, because the first time they laid it was 100,000 and it didn't
Yeah.
take. I don't know if they didn't water it correctly or whatever happened. That first game was a mess. Divots taken out everywhere. It just every time they stopped, they were, it was coming up. Or I think they were saying every time they put their boot down, they lifted up and grass was coming with them.
Yeah.
So nothing took. And you can see the pain in Ryan and Rob's face when they were like, oh no.
Yeah. And it's funny because Ryan will respond with something sarcastic, but like in the back of his head, he's like, oh boy, was this a mistake? He's like, he's always funny and has, stays fairly positive on the outside, but I can imagine on the inside, he's like,
this may have been a bad idea.
Yeah. And it's funny the dynamic between those two, because it's like, I'm not going to say that Ryan isn't invested because he's the one that has, and they even list out like who has the most social media followers and pretty much who probably more money that's actually going into this, because Rob, defers to Ryan a lot when it comes to the money stuff. And it seems like Rob is the one that's kind of more invested. Like this was his idea initially, like Rob is kind of more invested, like personally.
Yeah.
But who knows? They may both be in it 100%, but that seems to be that dynamic that's playing out, at least over this documentary.
Ryan's more of the money. Rob is more of the passion,
kind of the heart. Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like Ryan is in it as well. I think he just, I don't think he, I don't know. I think I agree with your actual like description of the dynamic, but I think Ryan may be a little more into it than the cameras are really showing.
Yeah, I think that's fair. If he wasn't in it, then he wouldn't be doing this. So
that's very true.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we were always wondering, how much does the city of, Wrexham really support this?
Right.
Was it blown up for the TV show to make it like, make us Americans be more intrigued by, oh yeah, and it was overwhelmingly, approved? Or was there some backroom talks where they're like, no, I don't want no bloody American to take over my team?
Or Canadian.
And, yeah, Canadian. Well,
Ryan's
North
Canadian.
American, because
right. He's from Canada, but like, I mean, he lives in LA and,
then you have Rob, who's from Philly. So,
yeah.
But I mean,
which I wanted to bring up, their away jerseys were the Philadelphia Eagles green. Is that something new to their club? Like, were they always just red before, or did they adopt a new color?
I think they got an alternate color, just like a lot of teams have alternate jerseys. I think the green. I can't say that for certain. Yeah. And the only way we're gonna know is we actually have a few people from Wrexham following our channel now, guys. So if is that Philly green new to you guys, or is that something that you've always had? Maybe it's a third jersey or not.
Yeah, and if it is new, how do you like it? I did see a lot of people rocking those away jerseys, so maybe they like it.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I mean, speaking of them, we weren't sure like how this was being, like I was saying before, it being accepted over there. We had Shaun here on this episode basically say what I thought everyone was going to say. And he was like, no, in a few choice words, he's like, no, I don't like this, that the Americans are buying the team.
Right.
But then on the flip side of that, we have, I think it's Sammy from our that follows our channel now, and someone else saying it was actually an overwhelming. So what we're seeing on the actual show is true to form, which is actually happening over there.
Yeah.
And something else that I thought was really cool, and he was saying the reason that they support him so much is that they're pouring a lot of money into the club and into the city. So
Right.
it's not just they're doing it, and they haven't actually shown it because they're afraid that it's going to be too much self-promotion.
Mhm.
And so they want that behind the scenes. They only want people to know that actually seek that information out, which I think is cool as well.
Yeah, so far it seems like they're doing pretty well to their word. Rob was all about when he made the initial pitch. He was like, "This is about the community, not just the club," because he
Yeah.
recognizes that kind of the club and the community go hand in hand. And it seems like so far he's making good on those terms. Because a lot of people, they say things up front, but then the real, it comes. Your truth comes with actions. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
what do you do once you're in the position? And it seems like so far so good when it comes to how they're handling things.
Yeah, it's the politician part of it. Can I
Yeah,
sell myself? And once I'm in that spot, I'll do what I please type thing.
right.
And this here, they're actually backing their words. I mean, you've seen it quickly. They wound up changing their sponsor. They went from that I forget the horse trailer company that I guess was
Yeah,
local.
yes. This is where
And
we
they
see TikTok come aboard.
Yeah, and we see TikTok on their jerseys, and everyone they open up that that storefront, and everyone's flooding in there to buy new jerseys, which is cool.
Yeah,
Uh, but
I
you
kind of
back
want
to
one now. To be honest,
yeah,
I kind of
that'd be
do.
cool to actually have it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Um.
I was gonna say another thing that I really liked about it is the bringing on that volunteer. The volunteer
Oh
that's been
yeah.
she's been a part of the team for I can't remember how many years. I think it was double digit years,
Right.
and she's always just been a volunteer. And they brought her on full time to go ahead and do the job to make it more handicap accessible for everybody.
Right.
And I thought that as another aspect of the show where it's focusing on the people and not what's happening on the field.
Carrie Evans was her name. Carrie
There
Evans.
we
Yeah, she was
go.
pretty much a full-time volunteer doing the work already. And it's so funny because it's like you could see she had like real hesitation on taking aboard like an official position with them, but
Yeah.
her whole family was like, "Girl, you're doing it already. Just you might
Just
as well
get
get
paid
paid
for it.
for it."
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was great. So it's like, and Rob specifically said like it's just goes to show the because there's the flashy stuff, right? There's
Yeah.
like bringing on the new manager, bringing on
Bringing on
top
Paul
talent,
Mullins. Yeah.
but to see the behind the scenes stuff, from the like talking to the groundskeeper and bringing on Carrie and like talking to people that have been around the club, orbiting the club for years
The
and years.
ladies that are sitting in front, the storefront at the actual
Yes.
table drinking their
Yes.
tea or whatever they're drinking,
Yeah.
and they're talking about, "Oh, is this a good thing?" Or, what's going
Right.
on.
They
Just
were
those
so
little
funny.
interactions, those little nuggets are the best part of the show.
I loved those ladies actually. I love that this show takes the time to like check in with these people. It's great.
Yeah, I really enjoy it, and I like how they went ahead and showed the dynamic between the players too,
Yeah.
because they had to throw a lot of money at Paul Mullins to
Yes.
come to the team. So
Yeah.
you see him in his own house with his family, and then you see that one house with 5 players in it, and you're like, "Oh, I
Right.
can't afford that." Then you were like, "Well, I bet you Paul could. That's not a problem for him." Like, there's a power dynamic and money
Some of the
dynamic
inner
between them.
working politics and yeah, the thoughts and opinions of some of the players that aren't getting, the top tier money, right? So it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
a few of the players, I think there was Reese Hall Johnson, Cameron Green, and a few other ones. It was funny. It was like they was like listed the name of the house and this who lives here and this
And it
player and
just
this player.
kept
And it just kept
going.
going.
I was like, "My lord, this house isn't that big, and you're packing that many guys into it?" And
Yeah.
then they show Paul and his house and his kid and his wife and everything, and how like he got criticized for going down the Wrexham rather than going up, and then taking the money
Yeah.
instead of basically being promoted.
But you also get Paul Mullen's side where he really emphasizes that this was a decision based upon, like you said, being around his family, being able
Yeah,
to see his baby boy, more often. Which was it's a big deal. It's a big deal for you and I. The channel is called Dadnarok, so that
yeah,
spoke to you
yeah,
and I pretty quickly. But there's a lot of pressure there when you are hired on to like it's just assumed that because you're going to get a coach like Phil Parkinson, because you're going to get a player like Paul Mullen, that magically that things are just going to happen and you guys are going to get promoted and it's just going to work
yeah.
out. But it's like that's a lot of pressure, and if it doesn't, then you've got a whole community, a whole
They're
town
gonna
full of
turn.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
how quick are they going to be the Philly crowd? Like we're modeling this after
right.
Philly.
Mhm.
That is not the best city in the States to model your
No,
fandom after.
for those that may be overseas, the, Philadelphia region here is pretty, notorious for having a fan base where if you're on fire, they're with you, but if you're losing, oh, watch out.
Oh, this will be the easiest way to put it. The Spectrum, not Spectrum, the Vet was where the Eagles played. That was the very first stadium in American sports history to have a jail in the basement.
Right.
So that should tell you how rough those fans can truly be.
Yeah.
So if things are going well, by all standards, what I'm hearing from our supporters from our channel from over there, things are going well.
Yeah.
So as long as things are going well, I think they're going to be great. Now, the thing is, how long are they in this game for? How long will Ryan and Rob actually stick around? Is their goal to be with them and get them promoted, a couple times, maybe promoted once, and then decide, you know what, we did what we achieved. We came here, we got them promoted, we got them into the the bigger game where the money and everything's a little bigger, and then we're going to hand it off to maybe a true, football person.
I honestly think that just depends on how involved they are, and it seems like so far we're only a few episodes into a documentary, and even this documentary doesn't show like only a portion of the total time that they've been with this team because it's been 2 years plus now.
Yeah.
So like I feel like it just depends on how involved they are in day-to-day activities and how much they enjoy, this responsibility and how much of the Wrexham blood kind of flows through them at this point. Like it maybe get a point where they're so invested where it'll be really hard for them to give it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if they follow the team through a promotion and they're able to celebrate with them and feel those feelings to just kind of bounce after that. I think there'd be some circumstances where it'd be tough. So yeah, that
I'm basically piggybacking off what you said. They could be more of the owner. You don't
yeah,
see owners very often. Owners
right.
are in the background. They're able to do their own thing, and then they leave their people that they hire, that they trust,
Yes.
to do the job. And
Yeah.
you're seeing Rob and Ryan bring those people in. Between the lady that I don't know her name, that came in.
Oh, it was
You got it handy?
Fleur Robinson. Yeah.
There we
Fleur
go. And
Robinson.
they're like, she knows so much. She is the perfect person to be put in place.
Yeah.
She just didn't want to be prominent on camera.
I know, and Ryan was like, "I didn't know that was an option." Every time they go to Ryan, he brings out a little joke, and it's just like keeps. This show is such a weird mix because it's like, it's documentary. It gets emotional at times. It gets you get invested in real people's stories, and then they'll cut to Rob and Ryan, and they're like out in L.A. doing something, or like Rob is on the set of Always Sunny, and he's on a call, and you bring like higher stakes into it, and then you get like a quip, like you laugh out loud by something Ryan says, and it's just like so far I'm like really loving the dynamic of this particular like this show, and how much of a entertaining mix it is. Like after 4 episodes, and they're quick. I'm glad we're
Yes.
getting them 2 at a time.
Yeah,
There's
because
still
one 20-some minute episode wouldn't be enough. I would be
right.
wanting more. Like I
Yeah.
have no hesitation to roll right into the next episode.
Yeah.
But
Um,
there's a neat little connection because we're following. You guys are waiting for the Game of Thrones House of Dragon that we'll be covering here next. But there's a supporter from Wrexham that one of our actual supporters from over there provided us, and it's Otto Hightower. It's Ryan
Reese Ifans, I think is how you say his name.
and he went ahead and he put this out there. So let's just go ahead and I'm gonna get this queued up here.
Or Rice Ifans. I don't know.
And he put this out.
Yeah.
Just a few words, lads. Smash it to fucking bits and bring it home.
We got a message for Ryan Reynolds and
Yeah, God love you, boys. Keep throwing the money at us.
diolch yn fawr.
Diolch yn fawr, iechyd da, i'r gad.
Cheers. Thanks so much. Cheers, pal.
That is,
The hand of the king himself.
I mean, how can you do better cross promotion for us? I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for the lead in, guys.
Otto, you are fantastic. But you know what, guys? What do you think of, Welcome to Wrexham here? You can tell we're glowing about it. We love the show. We love the family dynamic, the people dynamic. I love seeing just things that, the actual dynamic of the team, since I am a big soccer fan myself, but just the whole world. And then seeing it as an American, watching it from the outside, watching everything over there. So, let us know what you think. Drop some comments in the comments below. And make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're going to continue doing this along the way. But I think it's time for us to go ahead and roll into
I think so.
Also the Dragon.
One more shout out to Simi, our new viewer from across the pond there. Simi,
there we go.
talking
Simi,
to us.
welcome. And here we go. Boss ass bitch.
So far, the scene of these 2 episodes, and maybe that scene, maybe even rivals anything that was on the original Game of Thrones for me. Like just the tension, and we're only 2 episodes in, but you understand the stakes here. You have a clear understanding of these 2 opposing sides on this bridge in Dragonstone, what it means. That he has the egg, where Rhaenyra, her feelings coming through all this, where she's
and
coming
what
from.
egg it was too.
Yeah, the same egg that was in her baby brother's cradle when that he passed, and boy, just like tension.
Now,
like
see,
crazy.
going into this, I mean, I know that was the dynamic. He had the egg when Rhaenyra was in the council, and she asked in Old Valyrian which egg it was. Because you can see her stir. You can see her starting to play the game.
Right.
Like she was put into it, but I don't think she realized what the Game of Thrones was.
Yeah.
And now she is thrust into it. She's now playing the game. But when she flew in, there was a part of me thinking, oh, is she going to land on the side of Syrax?
Oh, on the side of Daemon?
Yeah, Daemon's dragon. And then both sit there.
His dragon.
And she's looking down at Otto, and you're like, I've drawn the line. I'm with my uncle. You better back up. Because as soon as they seen that dragon, when they seen Syrax, they backed up. They knew they had nothing. That's when you seen the dynamic and the power the Targaryens have.
Because it's not unheard of for these kinds of things within the House of Dragon, within the family of the Targaryens, where there's just going to be backstabbing. We're going to see more of it in this show in particular, but even stories of Targaryens that take place before this, even as Rhaenyra's dragon was circling overhead, I did question for a moment, like, which side is she going to be landing on?
Where is she going to land? And well, this was prior to her dad picking her best friend as his next bride. If this happened after that, she would have landed with Daemon. I'm almost 100% positive she would have landed on that side. And she would have said, this is where my allegiance lies.
Yeah.
But I love how she landed on the bridge and she just walked, like everyone parted. And she's walking and Otto looks at her and says something. She's like, well, Syrax doesn't take well to someone doing something to me. So she basically threatened him.
Yeah.
And she walked right by him and basically stood in front of Daemon and said, you know what? I'm the reason you're no longer, next in line. Kill me. Get this over with.
Right.
He calls his bluff right to his face in front of everybody. Boss ass bitch.
And what does he do? He doesn't even get angry with her.
No.
Because he knows, as well as she does, that the two of them are kind of cut from the same cloth. And she is more like him than his own brother is like him. Like there's this disconnection between he and his brother where I think he loves his brother, but he does not think that his brother is a good king. Period.
He loves him, but doesn't respect him.
Yeah. But at the same time, his niece, Rhaenyra, he's like, he sees those two are connected.
Yes.
To the point there doesn't have to be a lot of dialogue. She just lands and she's like, Uncle, what the hell are you doing? And he's
you're in my home. This is my place. You are trespassing in my home.
Right.
What do you think you're doing?
And after very small back and forth, he tosses the egg back to her and he leaves. And how you would think, like, this is your turf, this army, these gold cloaks that are with you, they're all under you. This woman that he brought there, she gets mad at him because he says things about her, about them, she already being with child and them about to get married. This was news to her, apparently.
Yeah.
So, so the fact that he has to walk away from this encounter just speaks volumes, and it just goes to show how much he respects her.
I want to know how powerful, say, Cyrax is to Graxes.
Oh yeah,
Because if
Damon's dragon is
Cyrax is more
mean,
power,
dude.
yeah. But I'm getting the feeling that Cyrax may be just as much as
Yeah,
badass.
yeah,
And would Damon put them up against each other, knowing he may lose his dragon? Because his brother lost his dragon.
right.
His brother's dragon's dead, so he doesn't have a dragon to ride. So would he risk that, knowing that Rhaenyra isn't going to back down?
This is something that kind of you and I spoke about this many times leading up to this show. I was not excited about a new Game of Thrones because the other one burned me so bad at the end. I was just like, I didn't care about Westeros anymore. But the one saving grace that would have really kind of brought me in, and we talked about this, was just like, if you're going to have a show, House of the Dragons, and dragons are still around in this world,
Mhm.
lean into the dragons. Show me the dragons. And so far, they're showing me the dragons, but not only that, but like we could speculate, like what would a fight between these two dragons
Yeah,
be? Like,
and we're seeing personalities in the dragons.
yeah, which is cool.
Yeah, we're seeing what was it Cyrax is, how he kind of I think they call him the bloodworm, how he
Right.
moves, and just how much he takes after Damon's personality,
Yes. Yeah.
and
And
how much
Damon
Cyrax.
seems to be the only, and this is kind of characteristic of all the dragons, but like I can imagine he doesn't listen to anybody besides Damon.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
think that's true about all the dragons. The dragons
Yeah.
pretty much will listen to only their rider,
Right.
the one that they were, in the same cradle with when they were still in the egg. It's
Yeah.
kind of like that bonding thing that must take place at that point. But
Um, keeping talking about Damon, we do see Lord Corlys Valerion, the husband of King's cousin, that
yes,
couple. He
the
does
bl-
sit down with
the sea
Damon
snake.
at Dragonstone at the end of this episode, across from a fire. He's ready to kind of jump ship from
Yeah.
the king.
Well,
King
because he
Viserys.
tried to pimp out his 12-year-old daughter to the king. I mean, if there was a classic Lord of the Rings, not Lord of the Rings, geez, sorry guys, Game
Not
of
yet.
Thrones uncomfortable scene,
Right.
that was it in spades. I mean, I'm just saying, when we're watching him walk, I'm looking down, like, all of a sudden I was like, ugh. Oh,
Right.
this feels bad altogether.
It was bad as it's bad enough that the king is leaning towards, and not leaning towards, he does ask for Allison's Alicent Hightower's hand by the end of this episode, which shocks everybody. Doesn't shock Otto Hightower.
Yeah,
Pleases
no,
him.
he's been playing the game for a while.
Yeah, his plan came together, but yeah, it's yucky. But at least the show knows that it's yucky.
Well, then it was like, well, I don't have to bed you for 2 years. I'm like, you're still only 16,
Right.
and I'm going to give you many children.
And you
What?
see how uncomfortable Viserys is as he's making that walk. This is not something he wants to do, but he's being pressured from basically an entire realm to do something.
Yeah.
And he does make a decision that is his decision. It just it doesn't really agree with a lot of the, especially,
If he would
Rhaenyra.
have talked to Rhaenyra first,
Yeah.
if he would have told her and gave her heads up, do you think she would have actually accepted it more than she did when it was kind of dropped in her lap?
She would have accepted it more. I can't say she would have fully accepted it though. She may have stormed out from that conversation. That's a tough call. I don't know.
And now, I can't tell. Is she older? Is Allison older than Rhaenyra?
No,
Or
I
are they
think they're
about the same
supposed to be the
age?
same age. I think they're supposed to be like 16.
Okay. That's still, oh, man,
I know.
Hey,
I know.
dude, I got issues. This is just the fact that we're talking about this kind of makes me kind of squirm.
Yeah, it's we all know, you going through Game of Thrones, the initial Game of Thrones, we all know this is based on a certain time period in England, and like this stuff did happen, like it happened. So and the show, will try to be realistic in that sense. But here's what I think the reason
Realistic
why
as we
people
can be
aren't,
with dragons.
yeah, except you add some dragons in there, so it makes it more fun. But like the fact that I think people aren't really up in arms about it this week. They're still like because the general buzz about episode 2 of House of Dragon is that, "Oh, this is as good as the first one or maybe a little bit better than the first episode."
Yes,
Like,
I think it was better than the first one without the actual brutality and
yeah.
nudity and all that it couldn't lean into at times. This one here was all just character driven,
Yeah.
and it was dialogue and locations, and it was, oh man, it was really good.
It was. We got to see, let's see, a few characters. We saw Kristen Cole kind of take his place in the Nice Guard, I think.
Yes.
He was kind of took the lead there. Rhaenyra kind of promoted him to that position.
What'd you think of that actual dialogue? He was like, Damon was like, "Oh, Kristen, right?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, my prince. Yeah, I'm the one. Maybe you'll remember better once you realize I'm the one that got you off your horse or something like that."
Yeah, and Damon smiled. He's like, that's why I love this character Damon so far is
He's
because like
so layered.
he is. He would have every right to just be flustered and angered by that, or like immediately just be pissed off. But he doesn't play it as that. He plays like, oh, that was a good one. Like he knows where he stands. He's very comfortable with his position.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that about him.
Oh, he's hands down the best character on the show. I think
Yeah,
Rhaenyra is very close.
yeah,
Really enjoying her like maturity in the show and in the family and how she's stepping into her role. I
yeah.
want to like I'm not sure if the next episode is the time jump or if it's the one after that when
I was
she's
gonna ask you
older.
if you knew about the time jump they're gonna do, and there's gonna be played by different actresses and stuff.
Yeah, she's changing, and so is the
Allison
Allison.
Hightower.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's changing actresses as well because I mean, is it going to be like a 10-year jump or it's going to be a few
It's
years?
gonna be enough of a jump to where they have to recast, yeah, and I think maybe because maybe it helps with the ickiness of Viserys being with, a Queen Alicent Hightower if she's older, if she's an older
Yeah.
actress. But I'm curious how long, Viserys sticks around because every episode he's kind of
Well, he has
he's
got
getting
his
more and more
finger that
health
he put
issues.
in the thing of maggots.
Yeah,
I mean, he has that growth on his back that they never even. I mean, they said they were going to cauterize it, but they never addressed it again. So there's been something wrong with him each episode.
yeah.
So how much longer will he be around?
Yeah, realistically, like I don't know because I haven't seen any publicity shots or shots of these future episodes where like the older actresses are like in a scene with him. So I am
You see them
curious.
at each other's throat, not with Viserys.
Right, right. Yeah. So I'm curious how much longer Viserys is going to be in the show, which would stink, honestly, because I love Patty Constantine as an actor and I
Yeah,
think he's doing a great job in this role. So to see him depart early, that would kind of suck. But it all
I
Sean we lost
think
Sean Bean, first season Game of Thrones. So
I think he's gonna pass not long after Allison gives him a son.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that's where the drama is gonna start. And
Right.
that's where I think the lines are drawn, and that's where, Rhaenyra winds up with Damon on
I
Damon's
think
side.
that's fair because if Viserys was still in place as king, then basically the realm would sort of lean towards whatever his opinion on the fact would be, and probably, towards his newborn son. But if he's out of the picture and you have all these opposing players still in the game, then there's more question marks. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably a fair perspective, fair prediction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot going on. So it's gonna be curious to see how long he sticks around because the longer he sticks around, the the calmer it's gonna be. The minute he's gone,
Yeah.
it's gonna all break loose and it's that well, they were hinting towards it the very first episode. The reason they went ahead and had everyone choose Viserys that way was to avoid the war, which would be the only thing that would bring the Targaryen house down.
Yeah.
And now essentially it just prolonged that event from happening.
Right. Yeah, so far so good with this show, man. I mean, overall, I think the general consensus seems to be it's as enthralling and captivating as the original show was.
Mhm.
Hopefully, they learned their lessons or the showrunners' mistakes for the previous incarnation of the show. Don't run away from your successful show just because you got a Star Wars deal or whatever. Like, just stay in the pocket.
Stay in your lane, keep going
Yeah.
forward. No, I
But
always rank these shows by am I captivated enough that I don't pick up my phone?
yes.
And I have not picked up my phone through an episode of the House of Dragon yet. And that to me, that's the highest actual praise I can give it.
Everything's important. Like, no matter what location or which characters you're with, it's important viewing. You need to be paying attention, which
Yes.
is
Oh, and HBO didn't crash this week.
hey, they must have bolstered up their servers. Yeah, good job,
There we
HBO.
go. That is awesome. Well, guys, if you are new to us, be sure to go ahead and hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We do this every Sunday morning now. We're gonna be talking, House of Dragon. Welcome to Wrexham. We have Lord of the Rings that we're gonna be talking to Power of the Ring here in a minute.
Andor, when
And
that starts up at the end of the month.
exactly, Andor is starting. So we have a lot of content, a lot of things that you guys may enjoy, a lot of things we enjoy. So like I said, hit that like button, subscribe button, drop a comment. We are live. We love live interaction. So go ahead and let us know what you think if you're watching live here. But we
Speaking of, we
always
actually have a couple comments. Let's see. We've got Nightbot pizza, pineapple pizza.
I'm for it. It's gotta be the right pizza, but I'm for it.
You can't. It can't just be pineapple though. You've got
No,
to
it's
have
gotta be
something salty. It's got to have like
yes.
some kind of bacon or ham with that pineapple.
Or pepperoni. It's something to give it that salty sweet type
Yeah,
combination. I
just
know
sweet on pizza. No, you got to have salty.
we may just lost a lot of people there.
And then show me the dragons. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Christina.
I like me some dragons. But let's go ahead and we're going to roll into the Power of the Rings.
What sort of tree is it exactly?
Seedling of our great tree in Linden, very symbol of our people's strength and vitality.
Some called him a fool for believing it would grow in such darkness.
Where there is love, it is never truly dark. How could it not grow in a home like yours?
Dude, that was the best. I mean, I loved both episodes. Contrary to some opinion about episode 1, I enjoyed all of it.
Yeah.
That scene, though, that whole time when you're dealing with Elrond and you're dealing with
Durin.
blanking on his name,
Durin.
Durin. And even his wife, I love that. You can feel the friendship. You can feel the hurt. You can feel everything about it. I mean, even when he first walks in and his wife realized who it is, and she is over the moon to finally meet him.
Yeah.
And then every time, Durin says no, she's like, yes, no, yes, no, yes. We could all, feel like we're going to lose this conversation. There's no winning it.
Yeah. For this scene in particular, since we're kind of zoning in on it, I love the fact that I think they told the story pretty well. It gave us some history with these two characters very quickly, because Elrond gave us some backstory, through some dialogue, but you do get to see it in action, and he expects a warm welcome that he does not receive. And to Durin's point, it's because it's like I haven't seen you in 20 years. You weren't here for my wedding and for the birth of my kids, and that's a big deal to me. And for the elves who live,
20
thousands of
years is
years,
nothing.
20 years is like, might as well be a couple months. But to Elrond's point, he's just like, he apologized. He gets it. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm
He
sorry.
immediately understood once he's seen that hurt in Durin's face when they were going up the elevator.
Yeah.
And he's like, I would like the opportunity to apologize to your family as well.
Yeah.
And then, walk in there and the kids, kids, stay out of my head. I was laughing, dude. There was like, I've been watching She-Hulk and there's supposed to be like comedy in that. And I enjoy it. This 10-minute scene,
Yeah.
I was belly laughing the whole time. And I've watched it again and it still hits me where I just love it. I don't know. It's just the joy of the family and the dynamic. I think it's something else that actually gets me as well. Then the heartache with the tree.
Yeah. And actions speak louder than words, right? So it's like the seedling from that tree, I guess, was a gift from Elrond at one point, or the elves to Durin. And he planted that because at least at one point he really enjoyed and respected and loved that friendship and that bond. So he did plant it, and apparently he cultivates it to this day, and he treats that tree as though it's a third child. And Elrond says, the reason that it's grown so strong is because it's a family,
And a place
it's
of
a
love.
house full of love. So
Yeah.
it was a good dialogue, good scene.
Yeah, that whole thing. I mean, we kind of jumped to like halfway through the Uh-oh.
I think I might be losing you, or you're losing me. I don't know. One or the other.
Oh, no.
Are you frozen? Or maybe you're coming through loud and clear, but you might just be frozen.
Yeah, I don't have me at all. I'm frozen. Keep talking.
All right, I'm going to keep talking here. So, let me just talk a little bit about some of the characters here that we've gotten, or actually, let me talk a little bit about the overall general consensus there seems to be about this show. I've listened to some reviews, and I don't know what they were expecting as far as what this show was going to be. Like they're complaining that it's just not, the Peter. I feel like a lot of these folks that only liked the Peter Jackson movies, and that's kind of the end all be all for Lord of the Rings for them. They're really disappointed with the show because it's like, what's Galadriel doing? She's not supposed to be this badass or whatever. Or how am I supposed to relate to a character that's so, over the top and OP? But it's like she's Galadriel. Like, were you supposed to relate to her at any point in the third age? It's one of the. I was just talking about kind of the overall consensus that these first episodes have kind of dropped in people and kind of addressing some of their complaints, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of their complaints are unmerited in
Yeah.
reality. I mean, even if I mean, someone made a good point. I'm not sure exactly who it was, but if you go look back to when the Fellowship of the Ring was originally released, there were complaints about that as well because they didn't hold steadfast to the actual novel.
Yeah.
So I think we just live in a time where
We're very reactionary.
it's popular to have a contrary opinion. If you
Yeah.
want people to watch or listen to you, you got to say something controversial to drum up your numbers, essentially.
And you and
And
I shoot straight. We have episode, there have been shows that we've dedicated entire after shows to in the past where we were struggling with continuing because if we weren't doing coverage on it on YouTube, then we wouldn't have kept watching it,
yeah,
hands
no,
down.
we even
And
thought it was like, do we bail on this? But it's like, no, we committed to doing it. There's going to be some good within what we considered bad, so we figured we'll give you our honest to god opinion on it. And
yeah, and
that's
this channel is gonna get we're gonna shoot down the middle. If we don't like something, we're gonna let you know. If we don't like an episode of a show that we love, we're gonna let you know. If we don't like a show overall, we just don't like where the overall arc is going, we're gonna let you know. Or if we love something, we're gonna let you know. We're not gonna like overly flowery talk about stuff, and we're also not gonna be hating on stuff that we actually enjoy. So
Yeah, no, that makes no sense to me. I've been waiting for this show,
yeah,
and like I couldn't wait. Like I think it actually came on 10 minutes till 9, and I
yeah.
hit play. And I was like, I told my wife, said, I don't care. Sorry, I got the TV till 11.
This show is what it is. So they don't have the rights to a lot of the stuff that's in the Silmarillion. So we're not going to see a lot of first age stuff. This is second age stuff, and it's prior to the third age of the where the Lord of the Rings movies take place, The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. So what Amazon has the rights to is actually that time period. They have the period that they have the rights to the second age and basically the third age. If they wanted to, they could have just done another Lord of the Rings series where it was like the Two Towers, the Fellowship. They could have just remade Peter Jackson's trilogy if they wanted to.
Yeah,
But they didn't. They were like, let's go back. Let's do the second age. Let's see how Elrond came to be who he was. Let's see how Galadriel came up to be who she is.
yeah,
And let's see how these rings of power were formed. We got that opening monologue from Galadriel in the beginning of the Fellowship, talking about the backstory of the One Ring and the Nine Rings. And let's see that happen.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude,
That's what the
seeing
story is.
Khazad-dûm
Right.
at its height, dude, that was the most beautiful scene. I mean, there was a lot of amazing shots in this
Yeah.
show. That was it. When they were walking in and they panned back and you seen the waterfalls and the green and the harvesting and then the mirrors and how they lit everything. That was it. I mean, I feel like I'm fixated on that whole interaction that whole time, but there was so much good between when you're flying in, you're seeing which I'm assuming that are physical models of these cities. And then you can tell what was shot in on location, and they're mixing the two in some of those. It's the money. You can see the money.
You see the money, yeah, and you see a nice, healthy mix of CG and practical effects. The practical effect that I go to that comes to mind is that whatever that orc creature was that pops up from the floor of the human's house there. and attacks them. Basically, they're hiding in cupboards and stuff, and they get
Yeah.
attacked by this orc. He looks so scary. That was something out of a horror film,
Oh,
dude.
when he comes up and his fingers come off the oh my lord. My wife was like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome. That's what that is."
Yeah,
But
it's
then, when they're hiding in the cupboard and they're hiding, in, under like a fireplace type place where you put wood, it's like they're terrified. They don't know
yeah.
what this is. And they fight him off. I mean, I was impressed on how they fought him off, but man, she's bad too. She pulled out that sword and lopped his head off, went
Oh,
back
and
to
she
that.
came walking into that pub with the head in her hands. She's like, "We need to get out of here." Like, now do you believe me?
Do you want to die? 'Cause if you don't want to die, we're leaving at sunrise.
Yeah, and they do. They follow her. We do see in the following scene where
But where are they
they're
going?
leaving time.
Do we
I
know where
th-
they're heading?
I think they're going to elves. I think e- right now I think that's the only place that they can go because the way this is set up, and we get some dialogue where basically the elves have been watching over this land of men for 100 plus years, or maybe even into close to 1,000 years. I guess since the last skirmish that they had, since the
Yeah,
last
because
battles, because Middle Earth itself through an endless war was kind of left scarred and burnt and kind of
and
not in
men
a good
sided
spot.
against. They didn't side with the elves. That's why they're keeping an eye on. If I understand correctly.
Well, there were some, and I think there were a lot of men that didn't, because there are men over to the east that we actually see in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, the ones that were like riding the elephants and stuff. Those men,
Yeah,
there was a men that would there was a sect of men that were loyal to Morgoth and Sauron, and those were kind of the Easterlings that were further out. But I don't think the elves really kind of disseminate like, well, these men are different from these men. They just
yeah.
see
Men
men
are
as
men. Yeah,
yeah. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where we land, and that we're getting backstory like that through scenes and through dialogue. And even though we did get some exposition from Galadriel to open up this series, I like that the series is taking its time. Some people are saying, "Oh, this is boring" or whatever.
yeah,
This is such a huge world to explore. It's fine to take its time. For me, take your
yeah.
time to tell
I'm
this
the exact
story.
same. Don't rush through it. Because
Yeah,
if you rush through it, people are going to complain, oh, that went too quickly. Like, I
right.
love the relationship we're seeing between, I think it's Nori and Poppy.
Yeah,
Essentially, we're seeing, what are the two dwarves? Not dwarves.
like a new Frodo and Sam.
Not even Frodo and Sam. I'm thinking as
Oh,
much as
Merry and Pippin.
Mary and Pippin.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm seeing those two in those
yeah.
two characters. Because they're going to be they're going against what the rest of the Hardfoots want to do. They're not listening. They're doing their own thing. I mean, when they find out this, the skies look strange. Fantastic. That's cool. I like that. But
Yeah.
with the comet coming in and the stranger, who is the stranger?
Yeah, he falls from the sky. I mean, he looks like a wizard, but it's like maybe he's not a wizard. And there are, many wizards that it could be. There's Radagast, there's Gandalf, of course, there's Saruman, and then two blue wizards that were not in the Lord of the Rings books, but
And I
we
think
know
the
that they
blue
were
wizards
there.
are this time frame though. The other ones that you named, I think, are in the third age. I think it is.
Yeah, they were supposed to all come in the third age. My money is that if it is a wizard, it's one of the blue wizards because they're the most mysterious. Even though I think even then those two are supposed to come after this. I don't think there were supposed to be any wizards in the second age. But this show, that's a lot of the complaints about this show with hardcore Tolkien fans. Is like, no, you can't adapt this into this kind of way, or like it
Yeah.
has to be, they're so by the book. But I'm not like that. Like I love, of course, the work of Tolkien is so,
I
it's
felt like I was in Middle Earth immediately.
yeah.
I
And
felt that immediately.
And it's okay to want to do Tolkien's work and do it justice. That's totally fine and then deserves that. But I also want a good story because you have to remember that like this show is based on appendices and like a textbook, not an actual story
It's not a
like the
story. Yeah,
Lord
no,
of the
you got to
Rings.
adapt it to something that will work on the screen.
Yeah, so they have to take mentions of events and characters and make a fleshed out story of it. So I'm okay to take liberties here and there. I
I was
don't
saying, do
think
you think
there's
they'll use
anything
that
that's
much of a
criminal.
liberty to go ahead and bring Gandalf to this age
It's
just for the name alone?
It's possible, yeah, it's possible, especially since this stranger, the first creatures that he come across
Mhm.
are little folk, like
Well,
the hobbits.
yes, but did you also notice something else? I've seen someone else point this out. Remember how when he was on the top of the Saruman's tower and he whispered to the moth?
Right.
The same type of
Same
thing
thing with
took place with the
Fireflies.
Fireflies.
But then the Fireflies died. They all kind of dropped dead. That's why there's something weird going on with this guy. I
Well, yeah,
don't
well,
know if he's
at the same
Gandalf.
time, the leaf fell, and
Yeah,
the Elf King flipped it over and was like dying.
right.
So
Yeah,
what's going on? Is
I don't
I
know.
it's I love it,
But
and
I
then we have
love the Tolkien fans, people that like live and breathe the Silmarillion and all the Tolkien's works. They don't know. They're like,
they
well,
have
it could
no
be
idea.
this, could be
They've got
this.
ideas, but they don't
Yeah,
truly know. When we go back to Khazad-dûm, what was in that box that Doran opened? That Durin opened.
that's what
Is that
we'll get an
Mithril?
answer to pretty quick. I think it's Mithril. Yeah, that's
I
what I
think,
think.
yeah, and that may be why, like, when Durham was like, "Oh, now you show up." They found Mithril in the actual mountain, and then
Right.
within Tolkien, the dwarves and the elves trade Mithril, so there's a
Yeah,
connection already between those two with that.
and their connection will form fuller because they don't even have that door on the outside of Khazad-dûm yet. That's speak friend and enter. The ones
Yeah,
that they enter in Fellowship.
no,
That's
it's
not
the
even
Lord of the,
there yet.
it's the Star Wars door. Can I come in? No.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna see that form and that bond kind of solidify and get to a place that's a bit the relations are hopefully get a little bit better than we've seen so far between them.
But as a
Um,
whole, man, I loved these 2 episodes. Like,
I did
I'm not a
too.
rewatcher. I don't rewatch really anything. If it's a movie
Right.
many times, if it's a show, I've already watched House of Dragon the first episode twice. I intend on watching that again. I intend on watching these 2 again, both episodes again. And that's how much I'm invested in these 2 shows. And this one here, I just there's a comfort level. Like, I don't think there's a comfort in Westeros. It's more of a, "Ooh, that's cool."
Yeah.
There's a comfort level in Middle Earth for me. I don't know why I
To
have that
sit at
comfort there.
to sit at Prince Doran's table and watch a scene between he and his wife and Elrond, yeah, it was very you're right. I felt like I was sitting at the table with them. Um,
Hearing that's just say they sing to the mountain and how it resonates.
yeah.
And that's where they know to mine and what not to touch and what's going on. There's a relationship between the dwarves and the mountain that
Yeah.
we didn't truly know.
Right. Because
So
when we
getting
saw
that,
Khazad-dûm, it was just a tomb.
yeah. So I mean,
Um,
all of that. I mean, I feel like I'm overly glowing about it, but I loved it. I can't wait for next week.
yeah, at the end of the day, like I guess I get a lot of the criticism that's been thrown its way. I don't agree with a lot of the Galadriel stuff because I'm like, that the Galadriel that we know in the third age, like of course she would be a super badass in the second age. Like people when she walks into a room, people bow and like, Gimli was just like in awe that he could get 3 strands of Galadriel's hair. Like that's the kind of like clout that Galadriel has in the third age. Where do you think that clout came from? She was
Yeah.
doing some shit in the second age.
I can't
Um,
wait to see what turns her into who she is that we know.
yeah.
I want to see that take place because it's going to be it's got to be something bad. It's got to
Yeah,
be
and they're like,
something where
people are
she pulled
complaining,
back.
like, well, this isn't the Galadriel that we know. Like, of course it's not. This is like 1,000 years before that, dude. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. Look at it. Yeah. Well, but it is what it is. But hey,
Anyway,
guys,
yeah.
we're Dadnarok. You heard us talk glowingly about this Lord of the Rings show. If you are loving it as much as we do, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Join us Sunday mornings, 10 o'clock Sunday mornings. That's when we go ahead and we talk about this. We love interaction. Live interaction is amazing. Anything that's
Speaking of
after the
which,
fact,
pineapple and jalapeno, sweet and spicy. What's your thoughts on that?
ooh, that's a little too far for me.
Jalapeno too spicy for you?
A little
Actually,
jalapeno is
I
a
do
little.
dig. I do dig on that. I can't eat a lot of it, but I'll eat a slice.
Oh man, yeah, jalapeno in general is a little further than I can handle sometimes. But before I was interrupted with jalapenos, uh, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're covering all these shows. Check out the other content we got on the channel here. Join our community. We love everyone that joins, no matter where you are. We love the fact that people from other countries are finding us through shows we're covering. But we love you down the street too. So be sure to, like I said, follow us, and we'll see you every Sunday morning. So
Yep.
I think that's a good place to say. What do you say? Keep it cheesy.
Yep. We'll see you.